But in the end, he decided against it and went just with the Jerry T build of 1 Jace Balerion.
Yep. And for those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Adrian Sullivan, and we're bringing you live coverage of the Star City Games Open Series here in Atlanta. The match you see before you is an awesome one between two great players, both playing Cobblade. On your left, Charles Gindy, Pro Tour Hollywood champion, a player who's done very well in the Star City circuit, had a lot of success, a national champion, and he's playing Esperblade. On the right of your screen, AJ Sacher. AJ's opted for straight blue-white this week.
Right. Right now, sorry to interrupt, one of the things we're in turn 2 of this game, and AJ, leading off this play, has started off with a Stoneforge Mystic, and his opponent, Charles Gindy, has started off with Squadron Hawk.
Yep, exactly. So the players have started off with their stock 2-mana draw spells. One of them being Stoneforge Mystic, the other being Squadron Hawk. But they're getting their engines online. The question is, what reactive cards do they have to deal with those engines? And let's see. Yep, down comes another Squadron Hawk for Gindy, which will find even more Squadron Hawks. So in this matchup, traditionally, the straight blue-white deck, AJ's deck, is favored. The reason is because of the 4 Tectonic Edges really tear apart the mana base of the blue-white-black deck.
You know, what's interesting, though, is that a lot of players have made the claim that the black gives you more value in this matchup. Now, I am of your opinion. I think that the blue-white straight-up has the advantage because of the Tectonic Edges. There's 4 Tectonic Edges in AJ's hands, and only 1 Tectonic Edge in Charles Gindy's hands, and in terms of the whole deck. And but a lot of people really do swear by the Inquisitions and the access to Duress for this near-mirror match. I think that, you know, there's a reason Jerry Thompson keeps playing it. My instincts, which could be wrong, make me feel that the blue-white might be the stronger option.
I mean, it's interesting the metagames progress, because we start with blue-white, and so that sword is on the Mystic there.
Yeah, sword on the Mystic eats a caw.
Yeah. So we started with blue-white, and that got blue-white-red, which beat blue-white. And then blue-white-black evolved. It's kind of just a better version of the blue-white-red deck, also beat the blue-white-red version, but lost to the blue-white version. I mean, and when we say win or lose, it's not like these things are fixed, obviously. The play skill of both players matters quite a bit.
Preordained from Charles Gindy here.
And it's really more like, a 55-60% advantage thing. But yeah, the 4 tech edges are going to be huge, especially since AJ drew 2 of them this game.
Here we go.
He can really hamstring Charles on mana.
Stoneforge Mystic comes down onto the table.
And AJ doesn't look very happy about that one.
Yeah, that Stoneforge Mystic has only one option, one of 2 Sword of Feast and Famines.
And he finds a sword. Yeah, both players opting for no body in mind, but AJ has 1 Mortar Pod and only a single Feast and Famine. He's boarding in the second one, I'm sure, to have in case it gets Divine Offering or something similar.
Okay. Look at the seriousness on his face as he contemplates his options.
Yep. And let's see.
I see a Gideon in his hand, it looks like.
EDH pod number 1. Please make your way to the side events area. EDH pod number 1.
And like many players here sporting an MTGMom.com sticker,
Right,
Gideon does come down.
There's Gideon. And serves him for 3 with Stoneforge Mystic. Probably just going to eat a Squadron Hawk, I'd imagine.
How many blue sources do you see on his side of the table? Is it just 2 or is it 3?
On AJ's side?
On AJ's side, yes.
Well, he's got 2 Glacial Fortress, or he's got a Seachrome Coast, the Glacial Fortress, and I think that's another blue source that's got the glare on there right now, but I'm not totally certain.
Yeah.
Why?
I just was curious how much blue he might have access to as the game progresses. Okay.
So that looks like a Plains. So it looks like H has access to 2 blue sources.
Right. The Stoneforge Mystic eats a Mystic.
Yep.
Hall.
And so,
make your way to the side events area. Your EDH pod is waiting on you.
So if
Hall,
Charles has a land here, he can put the sword down, but he'll have to attack Gideon, which won't do a lot for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just going to trade up
Gideon
Gideons.
for Gideon, and maybe have that Squadron Hawk sit back to block the sort of feasting famine.
I think it's very likely we're going to see that, unless, yeah, and he just passes back. I was going to say he could hold on and attack and plan to give it a sword next turn, but that seems too risky to me. I think he knows that AJ is going to try and beat him on mana with the tech edges, or have another big threat of his own. And yeah, down comes Jace for AJ Sacher.
Yeah. Bounce.
Yep, bounce the Squadron Hawk.
When you're in a position where you get to bounce for value, it is just such a monstrous moment, because usually what that means is that the board is now completely clear, and your next activation of your Jace will be an unmolested brainstorm with board advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah, and once again, AJ still, I think AJ can probably activate both those tech edges this turn, and it'll just be brutal for Charles Gindy.
And as I was saying before,
Yep,
Jacob Van Lunen was noticing that in his testing that the activation of those tech edges, when you've got such a lower curve than your opponent, just is devastating. So we've got 3 mana now for Gindy, where his opponent has out 2 card advantage engines that are at work.
Yep, preordained from Charles, and he quickly ships both of them. No doubt digging, trying to find, yeah, okay, and he goes for Squadron Hawk and a land. And just passes back to AJ. AJ draws Mana Leak. So he's got that counter magic.
Okay, what do we get?
So yeah, he goes for Brainstorm on Jace, opting not to bounce the Squadron Hawk again. And let's see, I see a Preordain in AJ's hand. Yep, it's going to come down and shove those cards to the bottom. Resetting Jace Brainstorm, always a great play.
New Mystic off the top.
Yep.
It's got Mana Leak, Mystic.
Yeah, another Tectonic
tech edge.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That is brutal for Charles.
Wow, and this will go and retrieve
Mortar Pod.
AJ. Did you say a Murder Pod? I like that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I have not heard that term yet. That's great.
Yeah. But not. I don't think he's going to use it this turn.
Oh, we're wrong.
No, he is.
We're wrong.
Oh, right, because if he hits, he gets to untap and tech edge. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you kill off the Hawk, and then serves in. He's going to untap, tech edge away that Glacial Fortress.
Which is so incredible.
Yeah, and once again, the triple tech edge just shows you once again the blue-white decks have the advantage in this matchup because of those tectonic edges, and when you draw them and use them like that, that's exactly what goes down.
Yep. Now, in theory, the idea of the black mana, right, is that you'll be able to cast Inquisition of Kozilek to either stop the Hawks from getting to the table, to stop the Mystic from getting to the table, or if the Mystic gets down, to get the sword out of the hand right away. But one of the things that I think is coming to the fore is that really good Cawblade players are getting to a point where they can beat that edge that black gives. Like, traditionally black-blue, even black-blue-white, but traditionally the black in a blue deck trumps non-black in a blue deck. It's been the case for years and years and years. Now, that does not mean that, you know, things can't change based on small choices. You know, the ability to have 4 tech edges, you can't fit that into a black-blue deck unless you really want to have your mana get some real trouble going.
Yeah, there's no way you can put tech edge. I mean, AJ had, or sorry, not AJ, Jerry had 1 tech edge last week, but even then, you know, that's all a little sketchy as is.
Go ahead.
How do you think the players are going to sideboard here?
Well, I think we see with Charles Gindy, that he's got 2 Divine Offerings, and the Divine Offerings are almost certainly going to come in. I think one of the things that was brought up recently by Brad Nelson is that he actually doesn't like the Divine Offerings. He prefers Into the Royal, and I agree with Brad Nelson. I think that Into the Royal is actually perhaps a more powerful, more versatile card than Divine Offering. Divine Offering, it fights with a sword, but it doesn't really fight with anything else. I mean, fighting a Tumble Magnet can be effective, but more effective to me is trying to bounce a Jace when you need to bounce a Jace, bounce a Gideon, that kind of thing. He also has access to 2 Duresses, and the Duresses are going to definitely be of value since he's planning on having his Inquisitions potentially tear out swords. Duress can tear out swords, it can tear out Jace, and just fight a lot of those weapons that you need fighting. Whether or not the Sun Titan comes in for Charles Gindy is more questionable. The blue-white deck, Sun Titan, is actually very, very valuable because in the blue-white deck, the Sun Titan brings back Tectonic Edges as well as the things that have already died. But in the blue-black-white deck, I think he'll bring it in, but I don't think it has as much power. It's going to be one of those things where 6 mana, walking that into all the potential for counterspells is really real. I mean, he'll bring it in, but it's not the same thing as the Sun Titan that we see in AJ Sacher's deck. They both only have 1 Sun Titan, but AJ's Sun Titan is just better. Bringing back Tectonic Edges is huge. You know, in return for this, Charles Gindy does have 4 Marsh Flats, but 4 Marsh Flats, that's not, you know, a huge deal compared to the Tech Edges. Also in the sideboard for AJ Sacher, 1 Volition Reigns, which also seems incredibly powerful. Volition Reigns being able to turn any card that's on the table around. It's not uncommon to see a line of play set up where an opponent gets down, let's say, a Gideon, or gets down a Jace the Mind Sculptor, fights a fight, tapping out, getting the Jace the Mind Sculptor, and normally the return to that is laying your own Jace to blow up their Jace and kind of having a sad face as a result. I mean, you're glad you killed the Jace, but you're not excited about the total board state. But laying a Volition Reigns in that moment can just be incredible. Besides that, he's got an extra sort of Feast and Famine, and he's got his own Divine Offerings. And I think that that's likely what we're going to be able to see. For those of you who are just joining us, we're here at the Star City Games Open Series here in Atlanta. I'm Adrian Sullivan, and I'm here with Gavin Verhey. And what we're doing right now is watching a matchup between 2 of the stars in our room. Charles Gindy, U.S. National Champion from a short while back, Pro Tour Hollywood Champion. AJ Sacher, Star City Games columnist, and he's been doing very well also on the Star City Games Open Series Player of the Year race. Charles Gindy starts out. Marsh Flats for probably a swamp, and I expect a Duress or an Inquisition of Kozilek is going to come and take a look. Duress, so I see Gideon, I see land, I see Mana Leak. Most likely, I imagine that Mana Leak is gonna leave the party. Though it is possible that if he's looking to the far late game, that we might see Gideon going away. He says go. AJ potentially leaving his hand revealed. Yep, just leaving his hand revealed. Don't bother writing everything down. It's cool. I don't mind. Okay, I'm going to write him down, says Charles. And we start off with a Seachrome Coast and a Preordain. AJ still just running with the I'm going to leave my hand revealed. You'd arrest me, and I'll keep him up. Okay, now that Charles has finished writing it down, AJ pulls the hand up, but it would have been fun if he had just left him revealed. There is nothing in the rules that says you can't just show your opponent your hand, so why not?
AJ would not want to give his opponent any extra advantage in this matchup. See the very old Divine Offering in AJ's hand, the classic Legends, I believe, version. Yeah, okay, there's Spell Pierce on Jace the Mind Sculptor from AJ.
That's a dangerous set of plays there. Running that turn 4 Jace the Mind Sculptor into a potential counterspell. He already, though, checked ahead. AJ would have had to have either preordained or top-decked into a Jace, so it's far less risky. Normally, this line of play, laying the turn 4 Jace, not so exciting for the fear of counter and then untap, lay your own.
Right. Now, AJ didn't have the Jace there to annihilate Gindy entirely, but that Spell Pierce was still really brutal. AJ's like, hold on.
I wouldn't be surprised if Charles has another card that's a real threat, and there it is, Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep. Man, yeah, that was pretty gutsy, just running that Jace right in there. Didn't end up paying out for Charles Gindy, but maybe he thought he had a read or something.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, with this line of play, I think I see a Gideon in his hand. If maybe he thought, I'm going to lay the Jace. If he counters it, that's fine. He probably doesn't have anything in his hand because I just looked, and then I'll follow up with Gideon. So right now AJ can cast his own Gideon unless it gets countered. Then I see Divine Offering. Is that Mana Leak, Divine Offering, Gideon?
He has Tectonic Edge in his hand. Yes, there's another Tectonic Edge. And now's not the time to be edging down Gindy, so I think we're just gonna... Oh, no. Just goes for Squadron Hawk.
I like this play better than laying the Gideon.
A good man for blocking that sorted Stoneforge Mystic. So AJ tutors up some Hawks. And now he's got a stream of blockers, but the Hawks are only there for a while. Let's see. Gindy untaps. And what do you think we're going to see this turn out of Gindy?
You know, like, I think I see a Divine Offering in his hand. I thought I saw a Gideon earlier, but what would have been the case before is I think he was trying to get a he knew that AJ had the Gideon. I think he was trying to get AJ to lay the Gideon, counter it, untap, lay his own Gideon. But now I think that's less likely. So we just see him cast the sword. Yep. Equip the sword, eat the caw.
And it just got the Divine Offering.
I will take one and game 3.
Yes. It seems like a reasonable sequence of plays to me.
Now, unless he has a Spell Pierce, he actually has no way of fighting a Jace with the current mana situation. I believe AJ has a land anyway.
And AJ, I think, just drew a natural sword. Yeah, AJ just drew a natural sword, which is, yeah.
Oh, wait. Let me see if that hits. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean...
And he condemns?
No.
That looks like a discard.
Just discards a card. He only has Creeping Tarpit untapped, so he can't even condemn. And the Ka gets in there. That's like a...
And 5 mana for the Gideon. Does Gideon play Murderer here? Or does it play Attack Me?
All right, so
attack me.
Yep. Bring it on, Gindy.
Oh, look at that face. Not happy.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I get out of this? This is terrible.
Plus, AJ has that double Tectonic Edge, which is only going to brutalize Gindy's mana even further. And, yeah, that Hawk with the sword. Ugh.
Running that Jace out there, I mean, ouch.
Yeah, that was rough for Gindy.
3 turns had passed and a preordained since he duressed.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Or 2 turns from his opponent. So his opponent had access to up to 5 cards to find an answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a risky play because if it sticks, you're probably going to win. So you're not necessarily going to win, but you're very far ahead if it sticks. So I mean, it's really gutsy by Gindy there. But now he's got to face down that almost Raven carrying a sword. And okay, he's got
his own Squadron Hawk can at least start mounting a defense.
Let's see. Yep, 3 Hawks into Gindy's hand. And now we got a Squadron Hawk War. That was a good card to have there by Gindy, but still, I mean, Gideon and Hawk with sword on AJ's side. It's a rough board for Gindy right now. That Divine Offering for AJ was pretty well timed. Let's see what we got here. All right, yeah, down comes Squadron.
Another Caw.
Yeah.
Take that, Gideon.
Yeah. And he just stands there. Okay, now
Divine Offering, tapping out.
But,
not sure if I like that order of play. Might have cast a Divine Offering before that second Hawk.
In case you got Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible he was trying to draw out the Spell Pierce.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe he wants to Maybe he doesn't care if he kills the sword.
Yeah, I mean, because he has a bunch of hawks going on. So, I mean, and by doing it that way, he basically gets to deduce a card in AJ's hand. He gets to know if AJ has the pierce or not. Because I think you would definitely pierce it if you had it there.
Yeah, I would imagine that I would. I mean,
And so now he knows AJ doesn't have access to pierce, which limits his options.
here comes another weapon.
Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic searching up. It's his second sword.
Of Fetus and Famine. The second sword is from the sideboard.
Right. Yep, out of the board for AJ. And ships it back, and the sword goes right onto the hawk, turning it right back into a raven. And now everything has to attack Gideon again. Charles draws a Preordain, which is a nice card to have here.
And a fresh card. Everything else is buried. He gets something new.
Was it what he was looking for, though? Is that a...
I think that's a Sun Titan, but I might be wrong.
So let's see, there's a sword, a hawk. Yeah, I think, isn't that just 2 hawks?
Is it 2 hawks?
I think it's 2 hawks.
Sword, hawk.
Sword,
land?
hawk, planes. That's what it looks like to me. Let's see. Taps
1, 2,
3.
Oh, okay.
Sean Robinson,
Creeping
please
tar
come
pit.
to the registration stage.
And
Another hawk.
the Stoneforge Mystics bounce, and yeah, there's a post-combat hawk.
Now, being tapped out here, so much can go wrong. The question is whether AJ has it.
It could be literally anything of like 5 different things right now. But
Yeah,
Charles,
Tumble Magnet would do it. Jace would do it. It's a lot that could go
a
wrong.
Mortar Pod.
Yeah, Mortar Pod, which
be-
means a Stoneforge Mystic could do it if he has the Mortar Pod still in his deck.
I think I think it's likely he still has Mortar Pod.
I agree.
But he might have boarded. I could see him boarding it out also, because you normally would want to get sword, but there are these corner cases where getting Mortar Pod is good. But killing off hawks seems pretty important. So, but AJ's gripping a Mana Leak triple hawk. Okay, so he opts to just serve in with that little guy, that raven. And now AJ probably going to Tectonic Edge. I think
Tectonic Edge on Creeping Tar Pit seems fine to me.
I think you have to get rid of that tar pit. The question is if you want to do it now or on Gindy's turn when he tries to attack with it.
I might wait. There's no rush.
I mean, you could limit his mana options potentially, but
Right away.
Just going to double tech edge.
Tar Pit and Seachrome Coast go away.
Yep,
That leaves his opponent with 1 blue source?
correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Tectonic Edge, like I said.
Wow, Charles Gindy with 1 blue source.
Yeah, in this matchup, the Tectonic Edges are really what pushed the blue-white deck over the top, over the 3-color deck.
One thing to remember as well is that Charles Gindy has only 2 islands in his deck, so his ability to even keep up a safe blue source is hard, compared to AJ Sacher, who has 4. And here's a Gideon that's going to get mana leaked.
Yeah, and AJ has the Mana Leak for that Gideon. And Charles lets his hand hover and then sets it into the graveyard.
Oh, look at that face. He's like, I can't believe he had it.
He had it.
He has to attack the Gideon. And he says, that's it. That's enough for me.
All right, that's enough. And to quote the Raven,
I
nevermore.
give.
It takes him down.
I give, he says.
That is it.